The sharp ring of the desk phone cut through the silence of Robert Hartwell's study. Like a blade, he glanced at the caller ID. Dennis Mitchell, his golf partner for 2 decades. The man who had never once called this late. Robert lifted the receiver, bracing for bad news.
Robert, listen carefully. Your son Brandon came to my office this afternoon. He brought documents to sell your company. He had your signature on every page. But I've known your signature for 20 years. That forgery couldn't fool me.
Robert's expression didn't change, but the skin over his knuckles went paper white around the receiver.
Did you notarize anything?
Number. I told him I needed to verify the corporate filings first. That buys us 48 hours at best.
That's enough. Delay it 1 week. I'll handle the rest.
He set the phone down and looked at the photograph of his granddaughter, Emma. Then something cold and resolute hardened in his chest. Robert picked up the phone again, his fingers finding the familiar number without looking.
Thomas, it's Robert. I need you at my office within the hour. Don't discuss this with anyone.
40 minutes later, Thomas Vance sat across from Robert, his expression already grave.
Brandon is trying to sell the company. He forged my signature. I need an irrevocable trust today, with Emma as the sole beneficiary.
That will shield the assets permanently. But Robert, that means Brandon never touches a cent.
That's exactly the point. Also, create a shell entity, Hartwell Industrial Holdings. Transfer all non-essential assets there.
Thomas nodded, pulling out his laptop. The clock on the wall read 9:15 p.m.
I'll have the trust documents ready for your signature by midnight. The shell entity will be registered by morning.
Good. And Thomas, not a word to anyone, not even my daughter.
Outside, the city lights blurred through the rain-streaked window. The trap was set. Now, Robert had to wait. By 9 the next morning, Robert sat at his desk, a fountain pen in his hand, the irrevocable trust document before him.
Once this is filed, the company belongs to Emma at 25. No one else can touch a single share.
Across town, in a luxury penthouse, Brandon Hartwell adjusted his tie in the mirror, his father's vintage Rolex heavy on his wrist.
You look like a man who owns a company, baby. 12 million. All ours. Just sign the papers and it's done.
The old man built this empire with his bare hands. In 2 hours it's mine, and he won't even know until it's too late.
After those crypto disasters, this is our fresh start. You forged his signature perfectly, right? The notary won't be a problem?
Dennis asked a few extra questions, but he'll verify the filings and stamp it. I handled it, trust me.
Robert, in casual polo and chinos, pretended to read the newspaper. He had heard every word through the speakerphone he'd placed in Brandon's apartment weeks ago. His phone buzzed. A text from Dennis, signing confirmed for 11 a.m. Buyer's lawyer will be there.
Then he'll learn what happens when you try to steal from a man who built everything from nothing.
Robert arrived at Hartwell Industrial before sunrise, finding Thomas already in the office with the finalized documents spread across the conference table.
The shell entity holds every operational asset. When Brandon signs, he's selling Hartwell Industrial Holdings, a company worth exactly $0.
And the trust. I need absolute certainty that Emma is untouchable.
Filed at the county clerk at 8 a.m. The irrevocable trust is rock solid. Emma inherits everything at 25, free and clear.
As the clock struck 10, a black sedan rolled to a stop outside the signing venue. Brandon stepped out, his father's Rolex glinting in the morning sun.
In an hour, this company belongs to me. The old man's empire becomes my bank account.
I've already called the realtor in Saint-Tropez. The villa is available next month. Don't mess this up.
Inside the signing room, Dennis Mitchell arranged his notary seal with deliberate slowness, while Lawrence Kessler, the buyer's lawyer, reviewed the stack of documents.
One moment, Mr. Kessler. I'll need to verify the corporate filings match the signatures. A standard protocol, but it will take some time.
In a secluded office down the hall, Robert watched the live security feed. His hands rested on the desk, completely still. The minute hand on the signing room clock dragged like it was pushing through tar. Brandon's foot tapped a staccato against the floor.
I apologize, Mr. Kessler. Corporate filings can take 6 days to update. I must verify before stamping.
This delay is unacceptable. My client expected a smooth transaction. How much longer?
What verification? The signature is right there. Just stamp the damn papers and move on.
In his office, Robert watched the feed, his expression blank. His fingers lay still on the desk. His phone buzzed with a text from Thomas. Trust confirmed. Holdings LLC active. Proceed at will.
Not yet. Let him feel the trap closing. He'll learn patience in a hard way.
Brandon, what's the holdup? The realtor called. The villa won't wait. Wrap it up.
I am working on it. Give me 20 minutes, Ashley. Just trust me.
The clock hit 11:35. Dennis had stalled for 35 minutes, and the room was a powder keg. The seal remained untouched. Brandon's phone buzzed against the conference table. The screen read, Dad. His thumb froze for half a second before he answered.
Hey, Dad, everything okay? I am a little tied up right now.
Just checking in, son. You sound busy. Everything all right on your end?
It's nothing. Just some routine paperwork. You know how it is.
Good. I am proud of you, Brandon. You've really stepped up lately.
The words dropped into the receiver like stones into still water. Robert cut the call and stared at the monitor.
He has no idea. In 20 minutes, it's over. Then, I am out from under his shadow forever.
Mr. Hartwell, this delay is costing my client. If we can't proceed in the next 5 minutes, I am calling this off.
I understand your frustration, sir. I just need to confirm one final corporate registration. Another 10 minutes, tops.
The clock struck 11:43. The room held its breath. Dennis's stamp remained poised in the air, a guillotine still waiting to fall. Dennis lowered the stamp, then slowly raised his magnifying glass over the signature line one more time.
Wait, I am seeing a discrepancy. The signature here doesn't match the corporate registration card on file.
What are you talking about? That's my father's signature. I've seen it 1,000 times.
If the signature is fraudulent, this entire transaction is void. My client won't tolerate a forgery.
No, it's real. There must be a mistake with your records. Run the check again.
I am afraid protocol demands I verify the original registration. Without it, I cannot notarize.
I don't have time for this. Just stamp the papers. I'll take full responsibility.
This meeting is over unless you can produce proof. My client's funds won't be wired without a clean notarization.
If this falls apart, Ashley will leave. The debts, the margin calls. I am dead.
The clock read 11:52. The room had become a cage. Dennis quietly slid the signature card back into his ledger. Dennis's phone vibrated against the leather ledger. He glanced at the screen. A single word from Robert. Proceed.
It appears the corporate registration has updated. The signature card now matches exactly.
Finally, I told you there was no forgery. Now, stamp the documents and let's finish this.
Then we proceed immediately. My client has already lost half the morning.
Of course, Mr. Kessler. But I must record the earlier discrepancy in my official notary journal. For the record.
Brandon, if those papers aren't signed in the next 2 minutes, don't bother coming home. The villa won't wait.
Ashley, the crypto debts. Everything depends on this one signature. I can still escape.
The clock struck noon. The chime echoed through the silent room like a starting pistol. Dennis slid the stack of documents across the polished table. The notary's seal was already prepared.
Sign here, Mr. Hartwell. The notarization will witness this exact moment in time.
Brandon's fingers closed around the pen, but Dennis raised one hand, palm out.
One moment, Mr. Hartwell. Protocol requires me to call the registered corporate officer for verbal confirmation before notarizing this sale.
Dennis punched in the number. In the next room, Robert's desk phone began to ring. Robert lifted the receiver. His voice, when it came, was calm and unhurried.
Robert Hartwell speaking. I understand there's a sale to confirm?
Brandon's face drained. He heard his father's voice echo through the speakerphone, and his hand began to shake.
Mr. Hartwell, I have Brandon Hartwell here, initiating the sale of Hartwell Industrial Holdings. Do you confirm and authorize this transaction?
I confirm it. My son has my full authority. He knows what he's selling.
The words hung in the air like a blade. Dennis thanked him and hung up. The room was silent. Brandon stared at the phone. Then, with a trembling hand, he picked up the pen again. The trap was baited, he just didn't know it yet. The pen nib touched the page. Brandon's hand moved in a jagged scrawl that looked nothing like his father's smooth signature.
One final check. The corporate seal on file shows a different registration number. Are you certain this is the correct entity?
Yes, it's correct. You called my father. He confirmed. What more do you need?
Very well. Witnessed and notarized. The transaction is legally binding as of 12:08 p.m.
Robert's monitor showed the stamp's descent. He pressed a button, freezing the image on his son's triumphant, exhausted face.
The wire transfer is pre-authorized. You'll have confirmation within the hour, Mr. Hartwell. Congratulations.
It's done? Finally. I am calling the realtor. The villa is ours. Brandon, we did it.
Enjoy the celebration. In 30 minutes, you'll realize you sold a ghost. And then we'll talk.
Robert slid a manila envelope from his drawer. Inside, a one-way ticket to Arizona and a brochure for Desert Hope Recovery. The clock read 12:15. In the signing room, Brandon poured champagne. In the office down the hall, Robert waited for the truth to land. The champagne had barely touched Brandon's lips when his phone buzzed against the wet glass. The screen read Kessler.
What now? We're celebrating here. The wire transfer better not be delayed.
There's been a problem, Mr. Hartwell. The entity you signed over is a shell corporation. It holds no operational assets, no contracts, no value.
Brandon's fingers went numb. The champagne glass slipped, shattering into a dozen pieces across the polished table.
That can't be. My father, he confirmed it. He told you it was his company. He authorized the sale.
I did note a discrepancy with the corporate registration earlier. A different registration number. Perhaps you should call him.
In his office, Robert's phone rang. He let it ring, his eyes never leaving the monitor as Brandon's face collapsed.
He's starting to understand what he sold, but the real lesson hasn't been delivered yet.
Robert reached into his drawer and withdrew the manila envelope. The ticket and the brochure felt final. He rose, buttoned his jacket, and walked out the door. The envelope was heavy in his pocket. The showdown was about to begin. Robert pushed open the door to the signing room. The shattered champagne glass still lay on the table, and Brandon stood frozen, phone pressed to his ear.
Dad, why are you? This isn't what it looks like. There's been a misunderstanding.
Stop lying, Brandon. I've known about this for a week. Dennis is my golf partner of 20 years.
Dennis quietly gathered his notary seal and journal, his expression unreadable. He had played his part perfectly.
You sold Hartwell Industrial Holdings, but the real company, the assets, the contracts, they were moved to an irrevocable trust for Emma hours ago.
You can't do that. That company is mine. I earned it. I deserved it.
You earned nothing. You stole my watch, you forged my name, and you betrayed your own daughter's future.
Robert pulled the manila envelope from his pocket and slid it across the table. A plane ticket and a brochure for Desert Hope Recovery lay inside.
Here is the deal, Brandon. You get on a plane to Arizona tonight. The trust will cover your treatment, 2 years of rent, then nothing. That's your inheritance.
The room held its breath. Brandon's hand hovered over the envelope. His entire future reduced to a single choice. Brandon's fingers closed around the ticket. The brochure slipped onto the table. The word recovery face up.
I'll go. Not because you are forcing me, but because I don't have a single card left to play.
This isn't about punishing you. It's about saving whatever part of my son still remembers he has a daughter.
Brandon's hand went to his wallet, pulling out a worn photograph of Emma. A single tear traced down his cheek.
What have I done? The crypto, the lies. I was going to sell her future for a villa and a car.
The door swung open. Ashley stood there, phone in hand, fury carved into her perfect features.
I just got off the phone with Kessler. There's no money, Brandon. You are worthless. I am done.
She didn't wait. Her heels clicked away, and with them, the last ties to his old life vanished.
Guess that settles it. I'll take the ticket, but I want you to know I hate you for this, and I might never stop.
Robert held his son's glare for a beat, then turned and walked out. The ticket was in Brandon's pocket. The choice was made. The signing room felt cavernous once the door clicked shut. Brandon sat alone, the shattered glass glittering around his feet like displaced hope.
She's 8 years old. What will Emma remember? That Daddy signed a paper and disappeared.
In the corridor, Robert's footsteps echoed on the marble. His hands were steady, but his jaw was set in a line, etched by 62 years of hard choices. He found Dennis in the clubhouse bar, 2 glasses of whiskey already poured. They had been meeting here for 2 decades.
It was the hardest favor you ever asked of me. But you did the right thing, Robert. The only thing a father could do.
I didn't do it for me. I did it for Emma. Brandon will understand someday, or he won't. Either way, she'll be protected.
By 3 o'clock, a yellow taxi idled at the curb. Brandon climbed in, his lone suitcase beside him. The ticket felt like lead in his pocket. He opened his wallet. Emma's photo stared back, a gap-toothed grin he hadn't seen in person for months. He traced the edge with his thumb. The clock at the airport arrivals gate read 6:42 p.m. Desert Hope Recovery had already been notified of a new patient. In his office, Robert stared at the monitor, now blank. The signed trust agreement lay on the desk, Emma's name embossed at the top. No victory felt this heavy. The phone on Robert's desk rang, shattering the quiet. He glanced at the caller ID. Lawrence Kessler. He hesitated, then lifted the receiver. Kessler's voice was clipped, the professional veneer stripped away.
Mr. Hartwell, my client's forensic accountants have uncovered the forgery. The signature was not yours. This is fraud. We can either handle this quietly, you transfer the real company for the agreed price, or I call the FBI this afternoon.
The company isn't mine to give anymore. It belongs to my granddaughter in an irrevocable trust. I can't transfer a single share.
Then your son goes to prison. Right now I have enough to bury him. You have 24 hours to reconsider.
He will go to prison, or I protect him and betray Emma. There is no right answer. Do what you need to do, Mr. Kessler. My son made his choices, and I've made mine.
The line went dead. Robert set the phone down gently, as if it were made of glass. The room pressed in on him. His eyes fell on Emma's photograph. She was laughing, no idea of the battle just fought for her future. He whispered into the empty room.
I won't trade your future for his freedom, Emma. Not ever.
The phone buzzed again. The screen read, Brandon. Robert's thumb hovered for a heartbeat before he answered.
Dad, they might arrest me at the gate. Kessler called his lawyers. I am at the airport. I don't know what to do. Please.
You get on that plane to Arizona. Whatever happens after, you face it. I can't protect you from the consequences of your choices.
Please, Dad. You made all this happen. You can fix it. Just give them the real company. I'll do anything.
It's not mine to give anymore. It belongs to your daughter, the one you forgot about. Now get on that plane.
The line crackled and went dead. Robert's hand, still holding the receiver, had turned bone white. He set the phone down and stared at Emma's photograph. She was still laughing.
He is my son, and I just sentenced him to whatever comes next.
The office grew darker. Robert didn't move. Somewhere across the city, a boarding gate was closing. At the gate, Brandon handed his boarding pass to the agent. She scanned it, glanced at her screen, then at him, and said nothing. And said nothing.
No flags, no handcuffs. Maybe I'm not worth the paperwork after all.
The jet bridge was long and cold. The ticket in his pocket had grown damp. The desert air waited on the other side. At 7:14 p.m., the flight closed its doors. The runway lights blinked amber against the darkening sky. In his office, Robert's phone buzzed. A text from an unsaved number, Flight 847, departed. Passenger boarded alone.
He went. He actually went. 2 years. If he survives it, he can start again. If not,
The photograph of Emma caught the last light of dusk. She was still laughing, still untouched by the wreckage.
forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a discipline, and I don't know if I have it yet.
The first star appeared over the city. Somewhere over the desert, a plane was heading west. The empty office held its breath. The next morning, Robert sat at his desk before the sun had fully climbed the glass towers. The signed trust agreement lay beside him, Emma's name embossed on the cover.
It's done, Thomas. The trust is filed. The company belongs to Emma.
Yes, and Kessler's office called this morning. They're withdrawing the legal threat. The trust is irrevocable. No court can touch it. Brandon's flight made it a moot point.
So the legal war is over, but this family war is just beginning.
His phone pinged with a text from Desert Hope Recovery. Patient Brandon Hartwell admitted at 1:14 a.m. Initial evaluation underway.
He's safe. For the first time in years, he's not running.
Later, on the golf course, Dennis walked beside Robert in the early golden light. For a long while, neither spoke.
You kept your promise to that little girl. Whatever else happens, you kept it.
I kept it. But I had to sacrifice my son to do it. That's a debt I'll carry until I die.
They reached the first tee. Robert placed his ball, lined up his shot, and drove it cleanly down the middle of the fairway. Life went on. A week later, a plain envelope lay on the doormat of Robert's stately home. No return address. Just the weight of a single stamp. Dad, I don't know where to start. I've been sober for 7 days. The counselors say I have to write this. I sold my own daughter's future for a watch and a villa. I hate myself for it. Brandon.
He wrote. After everything, he actually wrote.
Robert folded the letter carefully and slid it into his breast pocket. Without a word, he grabbed his keys and stepped into the late morning light. At Eden Park, Emma's class had just broken for recess. She sat on a swing, her pigtails trailing behind her like ribbons of light.
Grandpa, you came. I am almost touching the sky.
Robert caught her mid-swing and lifted her out of the seat, tucking her head under his chin. For a long moment, neither moved.
This is what I fought for. This, right here.
He set her down, and she dashed back to the swings, her laughter stitching the air like a melody he hadn't heard in years. Robert watched until the bell rang. The letter in his pocket felt like a first step across a chasm, but the echo of Emma's joy was louder than his grief. Later that afternoon, Robert sat at his desk, the same fountain pen that had signed the irrevocable trust, now poised over a blank sheet of stationery.
Brandon, I got your letter. It arrived this morning. Emma asked where Daddy was. I told her you were getting better. I hope that wasn't a lie.
The pen moved deliberately, each word a bridge over years of silence.
2 years is a long time. But if you come out sober, there will be a place for you. Not in my company, that belongs to your daughter, but in my life.
He folded the letter with a crisp, final crease and slipped it into an envelope addressed to Brandon Hartwell at Desert Hope Recovery. He walked to the mailbox at the end of the drive, stood for a moment under the maple tree, and dropped the letter inside. The flag went up. That evening, at the clubhouse, Dennis poured 2 fingers of whiskey and handed one to Robert. The fireplace crackled low.
You replied.
I replied, now it's his move.
A few days later, the morning sun cast a ladder of light across Robert's office. The signed trust agreement now hung framed on the wall, beside Emma's photograph.
Irrevocable. That's the word they use. But some things can't be undone either.
His phone buzzed with a text from Desert Hope Recovery. Brandon completed Phase I, attending all sessions. No incidents. Robert read the words twice, then set the phone aside. The weight didn't lift, but it shifted, just enough to breathe. He stepped outside. The autumn air smelled of damp earth and maple leaves. The mailbox stood empty, the red flag still up. No letter had come yet, but that was fine. Some replies take a lifetime.
You are sober, son. That's the first step. The next one is yours.
He turned back toward the house. In the window, the frame of Emma's laughter was visible through the glass, a small beacon. Later, alone on the course, Robert walked the fairway. The green stretched ahead, wide and patient. No one was keeping score. The sun dipped and the first star appeared. Somewhere in the Arizona desert, a man was fighting to become a father again. But here, in the quiet, a grandfather simply waited. The photograph of Emma remained his compass. Every morning, the laughter in her eyes reminded him why the battle had been fought. The maple tree dropped its last leaves. The mailbox, still empty, stood as a quiet sentinel at the end of the drive.
She deserves a father who can look her in the eye. Maybe, one day he will.
He turned and walked back inside, leaving the flag up. The waiting was no longer an absence. It had become a quiet form of love. In the office, the desk lamp was the only light now. The framed trust agreement hung beside Emma's portrait, a balance of legacy and reason. Miles away, a little girl on a swing reached for the sky, unaware of the trust that already held her future safe. Robert did not return to the clubhouse that week. Instead, he walked the course at sunset, the fairway, a long green corridor toward acceptance.
Some debts can't be repaid, only carried. I'll carry mine until she knows she was always the true north.
The stars came out one by one. In the window, the reflection of a grandfather and his granddaughter and his granddaughter's laughter, caught in a single frame, and the mailbox waited. The red flag still stood, a silent promise that some letters are worth every mile they have to travel.